can break it down. No question.
Hey, what's going on with you guys? The Promised Neverland Chapter 71 review. The opening conversation between Emma and Lucas is... It's important because the mangaka, the author, the writer, the artist, he or she, not familiar, really uses his time wisely. So during this time that they are walking towards the door, we get to see a little bit more of Lucas's character. And if you were not locked, but if you were imprisoned in a terrible situation for 13 years, you would begin to think that the person that led you to that place was an enemy. The only thing that kept his hopes up was the door. And that's understandable, because if you live in this world, you can't be pessimistic ever. You can never not have high hopes, because the minute you start to get your morale low, you're going to be running not as fast. There is a certain level of seriousness. You can't just always be a hopeful, but that's kind of a problem that I see with the story. A little bit of an aside here, is that Emma's really hopeful to a fault, but the author's really developing that and really trying to build on her character in a way that where she doesn't have to lose everyone for her to realize that being extremely hopeful and extremely optimistic is going to lead her to a place of possible destruction. The conversation between Emma and Lucas is a good use of the author's time to really emphasize Lucas's character, to really bring him to life, and also to move the story forward at the same time, which is I'll get to that at the end, but the pacing, we all know. So they get to the door, they go in, and lo and behold, it is a control room, and they begin to speculate that it is a control room for the hunting park. Now, that was a good introduction to that, because that is going to be used later, and it very seamlessly moves into the next part, with Emma just saying, let's go through this door. Hey, look, there's another door. Boom, Goldie Pond. And that's when they begin to have hope in Minerva again, because they say, well, Emma and Lucas both kind of come to the realization and the conclusion that they were led there for that purpose. Following that, they see a structure in the middle of the pond. Kind of reminds me in Fable 2. If you played the game, you remember the big thing in the middle that goes underground into a tunnel. I don't know what to call that, but it's like the big structure in the middle of the pond. And I'm wondering if maybe the inspiration was from that, because that game I loved that game. It's a very small portion of the chapter, but when Emma's leading Lucas by the arm and Lucas is afraid, it really shows that Emma's a lot more brave, and it really gives more character to Lucas at the same time. So another really wise use of the author's time. They enter into the structure. Of course, there's an elevator. They see that it says pen in Morse code. Insert the pen. Now, they start to get their hopes up that it leads to the human world. And then their hopes get immediately crushed by the elevator being suspended, and then that telephone ringing, which brings in doubt into the situation again. And that's what I really like about this chapter, is that we open up with doubt, then we get reassured, and then we have doubt again. The way that this chapter is being ended is reminiscent of the previous chapter. You know, we end on a cliffhanger, except it was done in a much better way. The doubt in the beginning, the rising hope, and then of course the falling doubt again. And it's also important to mention that when they begin to speculate, when they step into the door for the first time, they begin to think, so how was Hunting Park built upon this golden lake? And using the context clues given at that portion of the chapter, we can assume that the demons probably found the golden lake and built the hunting park upon it to get the strongest kids there. It's also possible that the demons just built the hunting park on top of it without knowing that it was there. But the way that it's being built up, I don't think that's the case. And on the other side of the telephone, I do think that the demon that we saw in the previous chapters is going to be present. I think he's going to become much more relevant to the story. It's going to give much more of an emphasis on Emma and the other demon, the one with the fedora, confrontation. Really quick chapter, really quick read. A lot of information was given to us, and of course, when we break it down, the pacing, the Promised Neverland, the pacing is, it's amazing. It's next level, really, just for the pacing alone. We have moved so quickly and so flawlessly up to 70 chapters that it never feels like there's a dull moment, and it never feels like we're sacrificing movement for world building, or movement for character development, or movement for action. It always feels really closely knitted and tied together. Honestly, it's impressive. What you guys thought, I would love to hear in the comment section below. I thought it was, a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. An amazing chapter, not a dull moment, never wasted space. Every panel had its moment, every panel had its reasoning. And that's about it. That's about it for this chapter. But let me know what you thought in the comment section below so we can discuss, so we can spur conversation. Because I would love, if someone knows about the golden liquid, maybe has a guess or the knowledge on this liquid, please let us know in the comment section below. If anyone has any speculations as to who's on the other side of the telephone, because that's really the pivotal point of this chapter, and that's really where we need to start thinking, where is this story going to move? Because we never really know what direction the story is going to take. We never really know what's coming next. So I do think it's going to be that demon on the other side of the phone. But then again, it's this author, and to date, it hasn't been a predictable story. And that seems like the easiest prediction to make, especially with the mentioning of, oh, Hunting Park wasn't always here. The Hunting Park wasn't always here. So it could be another human on the other side of the telephone. Who knows? Pacing, great. Story, development, great. Characterization was there, was present. What more can you ask from a chapter? So that's about it. Leave a comment. Again, please let me know what you think. Subscribe, please, if you want to support me. And leave a like. That being the case, and that being about it, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you next time.